Tonight we're going to explore 3 biggest things that people do or don't do that stop them from achieving their goals. I'm also going to share with you what NLP tools and techniques you can use to help you create massive success year after year. You'll walk away with 3 actionable steps that you can do immediately after the webinar is over. First, we're going to go over why it's important to learn about these 3 things that stop us from achieving our goals. Then I'm going to present to you what NLP tools you can use to overcome these hurdles, as well as how to implement the NLP tools in your life. And lastly, I'll ask you to take a moment after the presentation to share what you've noticed. And that's the overview. So let's get started. This is the time of year when people write goals. You may call them New Year's resolutions, or you may have a formal way of writing your goals. Some people use SMART goals. And even though I don't think this is so smart, it's better than nothing. Some people use the NLP Specify model, a much better option. And most of us who are NLP fans will have reviewed what happened last year, looked at what was great and not so great, decided what we've learned, and promised ourselves that we aren't going to make the same mistakes this year. It kind of sucks when you look at your goals from last year and what you've accomplished and what you didn't, and find out that you keep repeating the same stuff over and over. The problem is that it's too late at the end of the year to review what's happened. It's too late to do anything about it. It's already over. And pretty soon, January will be over, and we may remember our goals until about March. Then we'll get busy with life and forget about our ambitions altogether. We need a better way, don't you agree? This year, I've decided to do something different. I run and I do yoga, and I run some more. But the thing I hate, the thing that just drives me nuts, is lifting weights. So this year, I'm doing what I hate. I'm actually in the gym 3 days a week lifting weights. And I hate it. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The first thing that stops us from achieving our goals is focus. Most people have way too many goals that they want to achieve, and so their brain is overwhelmed by the sheer number of tasks and possibilities that exist. You need focus. And every achievement expert knows that the magic number is 3. You need to narrow down your goal list to the top 3 priorities of the year, which means you must make a choice and be prepared to let other commitments go. I already have my top 3 goals for the year. Mine are related to how much revenue I earn as an entrepreneur, my previously mentioned goal about weight training, and even though I hate it, it's a goal that I need to accomplish. And I also have a goal for my relationships. And my top 3 are in that order. I spend more time on my business than on my body or my relationships. And that's okay with me. The second thing that stops us from achieving our goals is not having a plan. Yes, some people do plan out their goals and what they need to do to achieve them, but that's it. There's a step missing that is absolutely crucial to success. We'll get to that in a moment. But first, I want to mention the third thing that stops us from achieving our goals. And that is conflicting values. Oftentimes, we have goals in one area of our lives that are in direct conflict with another area of our lives. And this is because we need to know what we value in life first. When you know what your values are first, you can then determine your top 3 goals and how they fit with your values or if they conflict with your values. Obviously, the more you align your values and your goals, the easier it is to reach your goals. Because values are what provide the unconscious motivation for us to achieve our goals in the first place. Makes sense, right? So let's look at the NLP tools and techniques that you can use to overcome these obstacles to your ultimate success. We must focus our attention to achieve great things. I've already mentioned that you need to narrow down your list of goals to your top 3 priorities of the year. Once you've done that, now you need to get serious on a daily basis. In NLP, we know a lot about how the brain works and how it doesn't. Our brains have a great ability to work in a focused manner for a set amount of time. After this amount of time, we kind of need to have some sort of mental break before we can continue to achieve great things. Without a mental break, we start losing focus. We get sloppy, our work gets harder, and we achieve something that's a lot less than average work. So you need to focus your attention on just one of your top 3 goals in sets of 45 minutes. Now, this is another thing about NLP that we know. 3 is a really great magic number. Your brain has no problem remembering top 3 goals. But if you try to remember 7, your brain might lose a couple of them. So 3 is also the magic number. But so back to the minutes of your goals. So you need to focus your attention on just one of those top 3 goals in its sets of 45 minutes. To do this, start with your top 3 goals of the year. And then what are the top 3 things that you need to get done in this quarter of the year? And then what are the top 3 things you need to get done this month to get closer to achieving your goals? And of course, what are the top 3 things that you need to do this week? And what about today? What are your 3 priorities that you have for today? Now schedule 3 blocks of 120 minutes or 2 hours each. In those 2 hours, you are going to have 2 blocks of 45 minutes, as well as a 5-minute break and a 25-minute break. It goes something like this. 45-minute concentrated block of work on one of your top 3 priorities for the day. 5-minute break to get some water and walk around a little bit. Another 45 minutes of the same top priority, and then a 25-minute break to do something else. The idea is that you've spent 90 minutes on one of your top priorities of the day. Now, I do this 3 times a day. For me, my fitness and relationship goals are covered by routines I have at the beginning of the day and the end of the day. I wake up and I go to the gym. So there's one of my goals already done and covered for the day. When I'm finished with my 3 blocks of 2 hours, I have routines at the end of my day about building my relationships. That means that during my day, I'm 100% focused on those 3 priority blocks of work for my business. And here are some do's and don'ts. When you're focusing on your top 3 priorities, you're focused. That means no emails, no Facebook, no tweeting, no phone calls, no watching TV or playing games on your phone. And certainly no responding to any type of alert on your phone. I actually put the alarm on my phone on and then turn the phone itself onto silent. The alarm's going to go off anyway, so that's fine. I don't want any distractions when I'm focused. Another thing you don't want to do is you don't want to forget the water. Rehydrating during those break times is absolutely crucial. And something else that you need to do is be flexible. Some days I don't get 3 blocks of focused work in. I may have clients that day. I may have meetings with prospective clients or my mastermind group. I may also have a timeline for another goal, one that isn't on my top 3 of the priority list for that day. That means that it needs to get done because there's a timeline on it. So I may use one of my blocks for that not so important task. I've also been able to get my brain used to working in blocks of 90 minutes. It's because of the nature of the work that I do. I'm often waiting for something to print or waiting for a video to process or upload. So during my 45-minute sections, instead of waiting until the end of those 45 minutes to get my water, I use the time I have while I'm waiting for whatever it is that's finishing. This way, I can set my alarm for 90 minutes at the beginning and take about 15 minutes when the alarm goes off to relax. That's another thing you can do. Use an alarm. Don't stop until you hear that alarm go off. The discipline of the strategy is priceless and will be the most important thing you can do to achieve massive success this year. Use your brain the right way, the NLP way, and you're on the road to success. The next tool that you can use to achieve your goals with amazing consistency is to use your timeline. Everyone has an understanding of where past, where present, and where future are. And we also have this ability to have particular events on our timeline. Not only past events, but future ones as well. If one of the things that stops people from achieving their goals is planning properly, this is the NLP tool that we use to solve that problem. Let's take a closer look at how we can do this. If one of your top 3 goals is a project that you're trying to complete, meaning that you have a lot of steps to achieve one big goal, then you can start by imagining your timeline on the ground next to you. So step into your timeline and turn to face the future. So you're stepping into your timeline at now, or the present, and you're going to be walking your timeline into the future until you have the feeling that you're at that future point on your timeline where your big goal is complete. Stand at this point and feel your goal absolutely 100% achieved. So what will you see when it's completed? What will you say to yourself when your goal is already achieved? What are others saying to you? And what do you feel when you've completely succeeded at this massive goal? Now, take a step backwards on your timeline. What was the thing that you did just before you completed your goal? What were you doing at this time before your goal was successfully accomplished? What do you see, hear, and feel? Now, take another step back. What was the step just before that point on your timeline? What were you doing? What do you see, feel, and hear? And keep taking those steps back all the way to now. And with each step, ask yourself, what was I doing just before that step? What do I see, hear, and feel? By doing this, you create a natural plan on your timeline. You create the path, the journey you'll take from the present moment to the future point when you've successfully achieved your goal. And not only do you have a plan, the plan is on your timeline. It's in your unconscious processing of how you understand time. Pretty cool, huh? Lastly, let's look at value conflicts. When we have value conflicts in our lives, then it's like we're using a compass to get somewhere, but the compass is broken. It's leading us in different directions, and we're getting confused and frustrated because we're not making any progress. The most important thing that you need to know is that your top 3 values in life. What are the things so important to you that you actually guide yourself unconsciously by these rules? Knowing what your values are first, before you have your top 3 goals, is vital to your success. Let me give you an example to demonstrate. My number 1 value is health. For me, health includes things like fitness, flexibility, strength, attractiveness, emotional lightness, and away from disease of any kind. Now, let's say that in my top 3 goals, I didn't have anything about health. Guess what's going to happen? I'm going to get sick. I'm going to be not focusing on exercise at all. I'm going to be totally stressed out. My mind and body will be totally out of whack. And this is what's called cognitive dissonance. I hold something valuable, I believe it's important, but I'm not acting on it. My mind is basically at odds with my actions. The way my goal is now, health is a part of my top 3, and I start my day by making sure that I am focused on my number 1 value. Now, my second value, and of the most important ones, is freedom. If I worked for a company that told me when to come to work, when to go home, what to work on, when I could take my holidays, etc., I wouldn't be very free now, would I? I would be incongruent with my values. So it's really important for you to know what your top 3 values are and what your definition of those values are. In the registration process, I included a download of a list of values. What you need to do is to circle the values that you believe are important. And from the list of circled values, narrow this to the top 10, and then from the top 10, narrow your list to your top 3. Now, once you have your list of top 3 values, write a little description of what this value means to you, like I did with my health goal. That includes things like flexibility, strength, emotional lightness, etc. So let's recap. There were 3 things that I mentioned that will stop you from achieving your goals. They were trying to do too much things and not focusing on anything. This is where you want to stop and focus on your top 3 goals and create yourself a system like the 45-minute blocks I told you about, so that you can really achieve your progress. Use your brain the way it works. Give it breaks and make it focus without distractions. Next was not having a plan. Get your timeline out and walk it backwards. You'll have a plan and it will be unconscious and in your timeline. Lastly, having conflicts of values. So what you need to do is get that value list out. If you forgot to download it when you registered, don't worry. I've included it in the link to the replay for this webinar. Once you have the list in hand, choose the values that are most important to you, narrow that list down to 10, and then the top 3. Then write a brief description of those 3. Write down the top 3 values alongside your top 3 goals, and make sure that you have no conflicts. And my added recommendation to you is to review your progress. Stop waiting until the end of the year to notice that you're off track. Notice weekly that you're off track and get back on track again. And as you are acting on these strategies in your life, remember the NLP strategy model. Test, operate, test, exit. Test whether you're getting closer to your goal. Take action and test again. Always, always, always review. if your actions are getting you any closer to your desired goals. We can only make great progress when we commit to taking that first step. The sooner you get your top 3 goals and values, the sooner you'll be taking steps along your timeline, the sooner you'll see progress. And this time next year, you'll be celebrating the best year of your life.